I'm standing in the bridal suite of the Intercontinental Sydney, staring at my reflection in the floor-to-ceiling mirror, and I can barely recognize the woman looking back at me. The wedding dress is exquisite. French lace, hand-beaded with thousands of tiny crystals that catch the light with every breath I take. It cost more than my parents' mortgage, more than their car, more than anything I'd ever dreamed of owning. And it's all a lie. My name is Charlotte Hayes, and in 30 minutes, I'm going to marry a man I've met exactly 4 times, a man who doesn't love me, a man who's made it abundantly clear that this marriage is nothing more than a business transaction, a contractual obligation he's fulfilling to secure his inheritance and his position as CEO of Ashford Mining Corporation. My hands shake as I adjust the veil. Italian silk tulle that cascades down my back like a waterfall. Through the window, I can see Sydney Harbor sparkling in the late afternoon sun, the Opera House gleaming white against the blue sky, ferries cutting across the water carrying people to their normal, ordinary lives. I wish I was on one of those ferries. "Charlie, you look absolutely breathtaking." My mother's voice is thick with emotion as she enters the suite. She's wearing a pale pink dress that we bought together at David Jones', the nicest thing she's owned in years. Her face is radiant, free of the stress lines that have marked it since her cancer diagnosis 3 years ago. That's why I'm doing this. For that look on her face. For the relief in my father's eyes when James Ashford paid off every single debt that was drowning our family. For the chance to give them peace after years of suffering. "Thanks, Mum." I force a smile. "Is everyone ready?" "The guests are all seated. Your father is waiting outside." "And Sophie—" She pauses, her expression shifting to something like concern. "Sophie seems a bit off today. Has something happened between you two?" My younger sister. 23 years old, beautiful and vibrant, with her whole life ahead of her. She'd been strange all morning, quiet and withdrawn, avoiding my eyes. When I'd asked if something was wrong, she'd simply hugged me tight and whispered, "I just want you to be happy, Charlie. Promise me you'll be happy." I couldn't promise her that. I couldn't promise anyone that. "She's just emotional," I tell Mum. "You know how Sophie gets at weddings?" Mum nods, seemingly satisfied, and fusses with my veil one last time. "Your grandmother would have been so proud to see you like this, marrying into one of Sydney's most prominent families. It's like a fairy tale. If only she knew. If only any of them knew." The ceremony passes in a blur. I walk down the aisle of St. Mary's Cathedral on my father's arm, past 300 guests I don't know, towards a man who looks devastatingly handsome in his Tom Ford tuxedo and utterly indifferent to the woman approaching him. James Ashford is 34, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair and gray eyes that reveal nothing. He watches me approach with the same expression he might use for a quarterly financial report. Clinical, detached, professional. We say our vows. He slips a platinum wedding band on my finger. It's slightly too loose. He'd guessed at my ring size since we'd never discussed it. I slide a matching band onto his finger, and it fits perfectly because his assistant had provided his measurements. The priest pronounces us husband and wife. James kisses me, a brief, perfunctory press of lips that's over before I can even register it's happened. The guests applaud. The organ swells with triumphant music, and just like that, I'm Mrs. Charlotte Ashford, wife of one of Australia's most eligible bachelors. The reception is held at the Intercontinental's ballroom overlooking the harbor. It's spectacular. Ice sculptures, elaborate floral arrangements, a 7-tier wedding cake, champagne flowing like water. James's grandfather, Edward Ashford, the patriarch who'd engineered this entire arrangement, gives a speech about family legacy and tradition that makes my skin crawl. My father gives a speech about his beautiful daughter finding happiness that makes me want to cry. Through it all, James and I sit side by side at the head table, playing our parts perfectly. We smile for photos. We dance our first dance. He holds me like I'm made of glass, maintaining a careful distance, even as the photographer encourages us to look natural, look in love. We cut the cake together, his hand over mine on the knife, and I can feel how eager he is for this charade to end. During the speeches, I notice Sophie slipping out of the ballroom. I excuse myself and follow her, finding her on the terrace, staring out at the harbor with tears streaming down her face. Sophie, what's wrong? I touch her shoulder gently. She spins around, and the anguish in her expression stops my heart. I can't do this, Charlie. I can't stand here and celebrate this wedding when I know what? She takes a shuddering breath. Promise me something first. Promise me that no matter what happens, you'll remember that I love you, that you're my sister and I never wanted to hurt you. Fear prickles down my spine. Sophie, you're scaring me. What's going on? I met someone, she says quietly. 6 months ago. We've been seeing each other. He's incredible, Charlie. Kind and generous, and he makes me feel like I'm the center of the universe, but there's a complication. My stomach drops. What kind of complication? He's married. Sort of. It's an arrangement, he says. His wife doesn't love him, and he doesn't love her. They have an understanding. He's promised me that as soon as his situation is resolved, we can be together properly. I feel sick. Sophie, he's lying to you. That's what they all say. That's what married men always say when... It's different, she insists. I know it sounds cliché, but I know him, Charlie. I know his heart. He's shown me the contract. It's all business. His wife married him for money, and she knows exactly what their marriage is. He's not cheating on someone who loves him. He's just trapped in a situation he can't escape yet. Who is he? I ask, though part of me doesn't want to know. Sophie opens her mouth to answer, but before she can speak, a voice behind us says, There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. I turn to see James standing in the terrace doorway, his tie loosened, his expression unreadable. He's looking at Sophie, not me, and there's something in his gaze that makes my blood run cold. Sophie's face lights up. James, I was just... And then she stops. She looks at James, then at me, then back at James. The color drains from her face as understanding crashes over her like a wave. No, she whispers. No, please, tell me. Sophie, James says, and his voice is gentle in a way I've never heard it. I didn't know she was your sister. Not until when you told me your sister was getting married, I never imagined. The pieces slammed together in my mind with sickening clarity. The man Sophie's been seeing for 6 months. The married man who claimed his wife didn't love him, who showed her a contract proving their marriage was a business arrangement. The man who promised her a future as soon as his situation was resolved. My husband has been having an affair with my sister. And neither of them knew they were connected to me. You're the one, I hear myself say, my voice strangely distant. Sophie's been with you, this entire time. James's face has gone white. Charlotte, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been sleeping with my sister while courting me for this sham marriage? That you showed her our contract to prove I'm just a gold digger who married you for money? It wasn't like that, Sophie sobs. Charlie, I swear I didn't know. He never told me his wife's name. He never showed me photos. I had no idea. But you knew he was married, I say coldly. You knew that, and you didn't care. You convinced yourself it was fine because his marriage was just business, because his wife didn't love him. I laugh bitterly. Well, congratulations, Sophie. You were right. I don't love him. I agreed to marry a stranger for money to save our family. So technically, you're not a homewrecker. You're just sleeping with your sister's husband. Charlotte, please. James steps towards me, but I back away. Don't touch me. Don't come near me. Both of you, just... I can't finish. I can't breathe. I turn and run back into the reception, past confused guests, past my concerned parents, past the elaborate cake and the ice sculptures and all the expensive trappings of this nightmare. I make it to the bridal suite before I collapse. I'm still wearing the wedding dress, the crystals still sparkling, the veil still perfect. I look like a princess in a fairy tale. I feel like I'm dying. Someone knocks on the door. Charlie, it's me. Please let me in. Sophie's voice, my sister's voice. Go away, I manage. I can't. I need to explain. I need you to understand. Understand what? I wrench open the door, facing her. That you've been screwing my husband for half a year? That while I was planning this wedding, you were sleeping with my groom? That every time you asked me about my marriage, every time you looked concerned about my happiness, you were hiding this? Tears are pouring down Sophie's face, ruining her makeup. I didn't know, Charlie. You have to believe me. If I'd known for even a second that he was... that you were... I would never... But you knew enough, I say quietly. You knew he was married. You knew he had a wife. And you convinced yourself it was okay because she was just a gold digger, just a woman who married for money, so she didn't deserve consideration or loyalty or basic human decency. That's not fair. Fair? My voice rises. You want to talk about fair? I sacrificed everything for our family, Sophie. I married a stranger to pay off Dad's debts, to cover Mum's medical bills, to save us from losing the house. I gave up my dreams, my freedom, my chance at real love. And you took the one thing I had left. The one tiny hope that maybe, possibly, my husband and I might eventually find some kind of friendship or respect or something resembling a partnership. You took that and you destroyed it before I even had a chance to try. Charlie, please. Get out, I say. Get out of my sight. I can't look at you right now. She leaves, sobbing, and I lock the door behind her. Then I sit on the floor in my wedding dress, my back against the door, and I finally let myself cry. An hour later, there's another knock. Charlotte, James's voice. I know you don't want to talk to me, but we need to discuss this. There are 300 guests downstairs expecting us to... To what? I call through the door. To dance? To smile? To act like we're a happy couple starting our beautiful life together? I don't think I can do that right now, James. Funny, isn't it? I agreed to fake a marriage for money. I agreed to lie to everyone I know for 3 years. But apparently even I have limits. Charlotte, please, let me explain what happened. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. James looks terrible. His hair disheveled, his tie gone, his eyes haunted. Good. He should feel terrible. Explain, I say flatly. He enters the suite, keeping his distance. I met Sophie 6 months ago at a gallery opening in Surrey Hills. She was there with friends. I was there alone. We started talking and she was... He stops, seeming to realize that describing his attraction to my sister might not be wise. I liked her immediately. She was different from the women I usually meet. Real, unimpressed by money or status. We exchanged numbers. And you didn't think to mention you were getting married in a few months? I did mention it, he says. From the first date, I was honest with her about my situation. I told her I was in a contractual marriage arrangement. I showed her the contract to prove it wasn't a real relationship. I explained that my wife and I had an understanding, that we were both free to live our own lives. Except I didn't know about that understanding, I point out. You never asked if I was seeing anyone, You never discussed what we were or weren't allowed to do outside this arrangement. You just assumed I'd be fine with it because you were paying me. He has the grace to look ashamed. You're right. I should have discussed it with you. But honestly, Charlotte, our engagement was so clinical. We met 4 times before the wedding. We discussed logistics and public appearances and financial arrangements. We never talked about feelings or expectations or anything personal. I assumed you wanted it that way. So you decided to have a relationship with someone else. And that someone just happened to be my sister. I didn't know, he says desperately. She told me about her family, her parents in Western Sydney, her older sister who was getting married. But she never mentioned your name, and I never made the connection. Why would I? Hayes is a common name, and she never spoke about you in detail. She said you'd grown distant, that your marriage had changed you. The observation cuts deep because it's true. In the months leading up to the wedding, I had grown distant from Sophie, from everyone. I was so consumed with the magnitude of what I was doing, so terrified I'd reveal the truth if I spent too much time with people who knew me well. When did you figure it out? I ask. This morning, he admits. When I arrived at the cathedral early and saw the family photos in the foyer, there was a picture of you and Sophie together. I felt like I'd been punched. I tried to call her, to warn her, but she'd already turned off her phone for the ceremony. I thought about calling off the wedding, but my grandfather was already there, and your family and 300 guests, and I panicked. I told myself we'd figure it out after. That maybe somehow we could what? Have a happy little threesome? I'd play the fake wife in public while you and Sophie carried on your relationship in private? Did you honestly think that was going to work? I don't know what I thought, he says miserably. Charlotte, I'm sorry. This is the worst possible situation. I never intended for anyone to get hurt. But people did get hurt. I'm hurt. Sophie's hurt. And somehow, in all of this, you're the victim because your mistress turned out to be your wife's sister. How tremendously inconvenient for you. I'm not trying to play the victim. I know I've handled this terribly. I just want to know how to make this right. I laugh, the sound bitter and broken. Make it right? James, you've been sleeping with my sister. You showed her our marriage contract to prove I'm a mercenary gold digger. You stood at an altar this afternoon and married me while planning to continue your affair. There is no making this right. There's only damage control. So what do we do? I look at him, this stranger I've married, this man who's supposed to be my husband, and I feel nothing but exhaustion. We follow the contract. We maintain appearances. We live our separate lives for the next 3 years, and then we part ways as planned. But you and Sophie end immediately. That's non-negotiable. Charlotte, I'm not doing this to punish you or her, I say quietly. I'm doing it because I can't live in a world where my sister is sleeping with my husband, even a fake husband. Even in a fake marriage. I can't see her at family dinners knowing she's been with you. I can't listen to her talk about her life knowing you're in it. So you end it with her, or I walk away right now. I'll tell your grandfather the truth about your affair, and you can kiss your inheritance and your CEO position goodbye. His jaw clenches. You'd do that? You'd destroy your family's financial security just to punish me? In a heartbeat, I say, and I mean it. I may have sold myself for money, James, but I'm not for sale anymore. I have boundaries. I have dignity. And I'm not going to let you and my sister make a fool of me for 3 years while you carry on behind my back. We stare at each other across the bridal suite, the wedding dress suddenly feeling like chains, the platinum ring heavy on my finger. Fine, he says finally. I'll end it with Sophie. But Charlotte, I need you to know something. What I feel for her is real. I'm not some callous monster who was just using her. I fell in love with your sister, and ending it is going to destroy both of us. Good, I say coldly. Now you know how I feel. Welcome to the club. He leaves. I strip off the wedding dress, hanging it carefully in the closet where it will probably remain forever, a symbol of the worst day of my life. I change into the travel outfit I'd planned for our honeymoon. We're supposed to fly to the Maldives tomorrow for 2 weeks, another charade to convince everyone our marriage is real. When I finally emerge from the bridal suite, the reception has largely dispersed. My parents are waiting anxiously in the hallway, Sophie between them, her face blotchy and swollen from crying. "Charlie," my mother says, reaching for me. "Sophie told us what happened. I can't believe. I'm so sorry, darling." This is unforgivable. I look at Sophie, and for a moment, I see her as she was when we were children. My little sister following me around, copying everything I did, thinking I was the most amazing person in the world. When did we become strangers? "I'm going to go home," I say quietly, "to the penthouse. I need to be alone." "What about the honeymoon?" my father asks. "I don't know. I'll figure it out." "Charlie," Sophie's voice is barely a whisper, "I know you hate me right now, but please believe that I never wanted to hurt you. I thought his wife was some society woman who'd married him for his name. I thought I was in love. You thought wrong," I interrupt. "About a lot of things, but mostly about me. I'm not some cold, calculating gold digger who married for money without feelings. I'm a person, Sophie. I have feelings. And right now, those feelings are telling me that I can't be near you. So please, just stay away from me." I walk past her, past my parents, out of the hotel and into the cool Sydney evening. The harbor is dark now, lit by city lights reflecting on the water. Somewhere out there, couples are having dinner, laughing, planning their futures, living real lives in real relationships. I climb into the car James's driver has waiting. Everything about this marriage comes with a driver, a maid, a staff to maintain the illusion, and I give the address of the Darling Point penthouse that's now supposedly my home. When I arrive, James is already there, standing in the living room with 2 glasses of wine. "I thought you might need this," he says, offering me one. I take it and down half the glass in one gulp. "Did you call her?" "Yes. I told her it was over, that we couldn't see each other anymore." "How did she take it?" "About as well as you'd expect. She's devastated. She said she understands, but she also said she loves me and she'll wait for me." I finish the wine and pour another glass from the bottle on the counter. "That's not how this works, James. She doesn't get to wait for you. This isn't some romantic tragedy where the lovers are cruelly separated by fate. You chose to marry me. You chose to have an affair with her while engaged to someone else. Those were your choices, and now you live with the consequences." "I know," he says quietly. "I'm not arguing. I'm just telling you what she said." We stand there in the gleaming penthouse, $12 million of luxury that feels like a prison, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I see something like genuine remorse in James's expression. "For what it's worth," he says, "I am sorry. Not just that I got caught. Genuinely sorry for hurting you. You didn't deserve this." "No," I agree. "I didn't. But I got it anyway. Welcome to marriage, right?" He almost smiles. "This wasn't how I imagined my wedding day ending." Funny, it's exactly how I imagined mine. Over the following weeks, we settle into our strange new reality. James and I maintain separate bedrooms. That was always part of the plan, and mostly avoid each other within the vast expanse of the penthouse. He leaves early for work and returns late. I fill my days with the activities expected of a society wife. Charity committee meetings, yoga classes, long lunches with women I barely know. And I think about revenge, because the more I consider what happened, the angrier I become. Not just at James and Sophie, but at myself for being so passive, so accepting, so willing to play the victim. I signed a contract that traded 3 years of my life for money, and I've been living with that choice. But James broke that contract by having a relationship with my sister. Sophie betrayed me by sleeping with a married man, my married man. They both deserve consequences. The first step is information. I hire a private investigator, Marcus Chen, discreet and thorough, to document everything. Where James goes, who he sees, whether he's maintaining contact with Sophie despite his promise to end things. The reports come back within days. James has been faithful to his word, at least technically. He hasn't seen Sophie, but he's been calling her. Long conversations late at night when he thinks I'm asleep. The investigator can't hear what they're saying, but the frequency and duration tell their own story. He's still in love with her, and she's still waiting for him. The second step is building my own power. I can't just be the wronged wife anymore. I need leverage, so I start paying attention to James's business dealings. I attend his company functions, smile prettily, and listen carefully. I befriend his colleagues' wives, who gossip freely about corporate politics over morning coffee. And I discover something interesting. Ashford Mining Corporation has been cutting corners at one of their Western Australian sites. Environmental violations, contaminated groundwater, falsified reports. It's all been carefully concealed, but the evidence exists if someone knows where to look. James doesn't know I've discovered this. He still sees me as the desperate girl who married him for money, the convenient wife who will quietly disappear when the contract expires. He has no idea what I'm capable of. 3 months after the wedding, Sophie calls me. I've been ignoring her messages, letting them pile up unread, but this time I answer. Charlie. Her voice is small, broken. Please talk to me. I miss you. I miss my sister. Your sister, I say slowly, is the woman whose husband you were sleeping with. Remember her? I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake. But I ended it. I've stayed away from James like you asked. I've been seeing a therapist. I've been trying to... Trying to what? Assuage your guilt? Convince yourself you're a good person despite what you did? Trying to figure out how to fix this, she says desperately. Charlie, you're all I have. Mom and Dad are disappointed in me. My friends think I'm a homewrecker. I lost my job because I couldn't focus. I'm falling apart. Part of me, the part that still loves my little sister, wants to comfort her. But a larger part, the part that's been systematically documenting my husband's betrayal and planning my next move, remains cold. You made choices, Sophie. Choices have consequences. I'm living with mine. Now you need to live with yours. But when will it be enough? She pleads. When will I have suffered enough for you to forgive me? I don't know, I say honestly. Maybe never. Maybe forgiveness isn't something you've earned yet. Or maybe it's something I'm not capable of giving. I hang up before she can respond. That night, James comes home early for once. He finds me in the living room, papers spread across the coffee table, environmental reports, regulatory filings, internal emails I've collected through careful networking and strategic friendships with people in his company. What's all this? He asks, picking up one of the reports. Research, I say calmly. Did you know your Western Australian site has been contaminating the local groundwater with heavy metals? That's quite serious. Could trigger massive fines, criminal investigations. The kind of scandal that would destroy a company's reputation and stock price. His face goes pale. Where did you get these? Does it matter? What matters is that I have them, and I'm wondering what they're worth. Charlotte, you don't understand how business works. Sometimes there are complications, situations that require illegal cover-ups. James, people are getting sick. Children are drinking that water, and your company has been falsifying reports to avoid cleanup costs. That's not a complication. That's criminal negligence. He sinks onto the sofa, head in his hands. What do you want? I want to renegotiate our contract, I say. $5 million instead of $2 million when this ends. Full public disclosure that our marriage was contractual, no claims of irreconcilable differences or vague statements. I want the truth told. $5 million is extortion. No, I correct. $5 million is what it costs to keep me from sending these reports to the Environmental Protection Authority, the federal regulators, and every major news outlet in Australia. Think of it as a consulting fee for my discretion. You'd really do this? Destroy my company just to punish me? I'm not punishing you for the affair, James. I'm punishing you for thinking I'm stupid, for assuming I'd just quietly play my part while you and Sophie planned your future together, for breaking our contract while expecting me to honor mine. We stare at each other across the living room, and I see the moment he realizes I'm not bluffing, that the desperate girl who married him for money has transformed into someone far more dangerous. Fine, he says, $5 million. And we tell the truth when it ends. But Charlotte, those environmental violations, they're not as simple as they look. There are people working on remediation. We're not the monsters you think we are. Then you should have no problem with a proper investigation to confirm that, I say sweetly. He leaves the room, and I gather up the reports, satisfied. But this is just the beginning. Over the next year, I systematically build my position. I continue befriending the right people, collecting information, creating a network of allies who don't even realize they're helping me. I become the perfect society wife, charming, gracious, seemingly devoted to my husband. And all the while, I'm planning the end game. Sophie continues trying to reach out. She sends letters, emails, shows up at places she knows I'll be. Each time I turn away. My mother pleads with me to reconcile. My father looks at me with worried eyes, wondering when his pragmatic daughter became so hard. I don't know how to explain it to them. How to tell them that the softness I once had, the willingness to sacrifice for others, died the moment I discovered my husband and sister's betrayal. I've become someone new, someone colder, more calculating, more ruthless, someone who plays the long game. 18 months into the marriage, Marcus Chen delivers his most interesting report yet. James has been meeting with lawyers, not his usual corporate attorneys, but family law specialists. He's exploring the possibility of ending our marriage early, despite the contract terms. He's getting restless, and I suspect I know why. Sophie. That suspicion is confirmed when Marcus provides phone records showing increasing contact between them over the past few months. They've been talking regularly, meeting occasionally in carefully chosen locations. James hasn't honored his promise to end things after all. I'm not even surprised, just vindicated. I wait for the right moment, and it comes at a charity gala at the Opera House, one of those glittering Sydney society events where everyone who matters is present. James and I arrive together, playing our parts beautifully. I'm wearing a midnight blue gown that cost more than my parents earned in 6 months. James looks handsome in his tuxedo, playing the devoted husband for the cameras. We're midway through dinner when I see her. Sophie, entering the venue on the arm of some man I don't recognize. She's wearing red, always her color, and she looks stunning. She sees me, and our eyes meet across the crowded room. Then she sees James seated beside me, and her face crumbles. "Excuse me," I murmur to the people at our table. "I need some air." I make my way to the terrace, knowing Sophie will follow. And she does, appearing beside me moments later as I stand at the railing overlooking the harbor. "Charlie," she says. "I didn't know you'd be here. I should leave." "Why?" I interrupt. "It's a public event. You have every right to be here." She looks at me uncertainly. "I don't want to make things harder for you." "Harder?" I laugh. "Sophie, you've been sleeping with my husband for over a year now." "Hard is rather a relative term at this point." She flinches. "How did you—" "Please, did you really think I wouldn't find out? I had you followed, Sophie. Both of you. I know about every meeting, every phone call, every lie James told me about working late. I've known for months." "Then why haven't you said anything?" I turn to face her fully. "Because I wanted to see how far it would go. How long you'd both lie to me. And honestly, I wanted you to feel secure, comfortable, confident in your little romance, because the higher you climb, the harder you fall." "What are you going to do?" There's fear in her voice now. "I'm going to destroy him," I say simply. "Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. I'm going to expose every illegal thing Ashford Mining has done. I'm going to leak the environmental violations, the cover-ups, the falsified reports. I'm going to trigger investigations that will cost billions and potentially result in criminal charges. I'm going to watch his company crumble and his reputation disintegrate." "Charlie, you can't I? Watch me." And Sophie, when it all comes crashing down, when James loses everything he values, I want you to remember something. You chose him. You chose a married man over your sister. You chose passion over loyalty. So when he has nothing left, no company, no money, no power, you'll still have him. Just him. And we'll see if that's enough. She's crying now, mascara running down her perfect face. "I love him, Charlie. I know that doesn't excuse what I did, but it's true. I fell in love with him before I knew who he was, and I couldn't stop loving him after I found out." "I know," I say gently, and for the first time in 18 months, I feel something other than cold anger. I feel sad. That's the tragedy, isn't it? You really do love him, and maybe he really loves you. But love doesn't erase betrayal, Sophie. It doesn't make what you did acceptable, and it doesn't mean you get a happy ending. I leave her there and return to the gala. James is watching me anxiously, having clearly seen Sophie arrive. I slide into my seat beside him and take his hand, smiling brilliantly for the benefit of everyone watching. "Your mistress looks beautiful tonight," I whisper. "Red really is her color." His hand tightens on mine. "Charlotte, don't worry. I'm not going to make a scene. Not tonight. But James, you should know something. Our contract expires in 6 months, and when it does, I'm not just walking away quietly. I'm burning everything down. Your company, your reputation, your future, everything. You're insane," he hisses. "No," I correct. "I'm done being the convenient wife. Done being the woman everyone underestimated. You and Sophie thought you were so clever, carrying on your affair while I remained oblivious. But I've been watching, learning, collecting evidence this whole time. And in 6 months, the world is going to know exactly who James Ashford really is." The rest of the evening passes in a surreal haze. We smile, we dance, we play our parts. And all the while, I'm counting down the days until I can finally execute my carefully constructed plan. 6 months later, on the exact day our marriage contract expires, I do exactly what I promised. I send every piece of evidence I've collected: environmental violations, falsified reports, correspondence proving deliberate cover-ups, to regulatory authorities, journalists, environmental groups, and the Ashford Mining Corporation Board of Directors. The response is immediate and catastrophic. Within hours, the story breaks across every major news outlet. Investigations are launched. The company's stock price plummets. James is forced to resign as CEO. Criminal charges are filed. And through it all, I sit in the Darling Point penthouse, which I'll be vacating today, moving into my own apartment in Potts Point that I purchased with the $5 million settlement, and I watch Sydney burn. My phone rings constantly. Journalists wanting comments, lawyers seeking statements, my parents demanding explanations. I ignore them all except one call. Sophie. "Charlie," she sobs when I answer. "Please, you have to stop this. James is falling apart. The company is finished. His grandfather is threatening to disown him. This is too much." "Is it?" I ask calmly. "Is it too much for a company that poisoned people's drinking water? Too much for a man who lied to his wife and his mistress simultaneously? Too much for a sister who betrayed her family for a romantic fantasy? I know we hurt you. You destroyed me," I correct. "My wedding day was the worst day of my life, Sophie. I married a man I didn't love to save our family, and within hours I discovered he was sleeping with you. Do you have any idea what that felt like? Standing in a wedding dress worth tens of thousands of dollars, realizing that the two people I should have been able to trust most had both betrayed me? I'm so sorry." Sorry isn't enough. Sorry doesn't undo 18 months of lies. Sorry doesn't give me back the sister I used to have. So no, Sophie, I'm not stopping this. James made his choices. You made yours, and now you both get to live with the consequences. Just like I've been doing. I hang up and block her number. The aftermath takes months to fully unfold. James is charged with environmental crimes and faces substantial fines and potential prison time. Ashford Mining Corporation is forced into a massive restructuring, with Edward Ashford, the grandfather who'd orchestrated this entire mess, brought in to salvage what's left. The family fortune takes a devastating hit. And me? I walk away with my $5 million, my dignity intact, and a reputation as the woman who brought down one of Sydney's most powerful families. My parents are horrified by what I've done. My mother cries, asking how I became so ruthless. My father says he doesn't recognize his daughter anymore. Sophie moves to Melbourne, unable to face me or the scandal. And James? Last I heard, he and Sophie are together. Living in a modest apartment in Perth, far from the society circles that once defined them, trying to build a life from the ashes of what they destroyed. I don't know if they're happy. I don't particularly care. 6 months after the scandal breaks, I'm sitting in my new apartment, smaller than the penthouse but entirely mine, when there's a knock on the door. I open it to find Sophie standing there, looking thinner and older than her 24 years. "Before you slam the door," she says quickly, "I just need to say one thing. Then I'll leave and never bother you again." I wait. "I forgive you," she says quietly. "You forgive me? For destroying James's life, for the scandal, for everything. I understand why you did it. I probably would have done the same thing, and I wanted you to know that I don't hate you for it. I never could hate you, Charlie. You're my sister." We stare at each other across my doorway, and I see the girl who used to follow me around, who looked up to me, who once loved me unconditionally. "I don't need your forgiveness, Sophie," I say, "but I appreciate the gesture. Will you ever forgive me?" I consider this. Maybe, someday, when enough time has passed that it doesn't hurt anymore. But not today. She nods, accepting this. "James wants you to know he's sorry too, for everything. He knows that doesn't change anything, but he wanted you to hear it. Tell James," I say carefully, "that I hope he and you find whatever it is you're looking for. I hope Perth treats you well, and I hope the love you have for each other is worth everything it cost." "Is it really over between us?" Sophie asks, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Are we really never going to be sisters again?" "We'll always be sisters," I tell her. "But we're not the same sisters we were before. We can't be. Too much has happened. Maybe someday we'll find our way back to each other. But it's not going to be today, or next month, or next year. It's going to take time. A lot of time. She nods, wiping her eyes. I can wait. I'm good at waiting now. She leaves, and I close the door. Standing in my apartment, looking out at the Sydney skyline, I think about the girl I was when this story began. The desperate, frightened girl who agreed to marry a stranger to save her family. That girl doesn't exist anymore. She died in a bridal suite at the Intercontinental, her heart breaking while crystals sparkled on her wedding dress. In her place is someone harder, colder, more capable than I ever imagined I could be. Someone who can destroy lives without flinching. Someone who plays the long game and always gets revenge. I don't know if I like who I've become, but I respect her. And maybe that's enough. 3 years after the wedding that destroyed everything, I receive an invitation to another wedding. A colleague from the charity board I sit on. I almost decline. Weddings hold painful memories, but something makes me accept. The ceremony is beautiful, held in the Royal Botanic Gardens with Sydney Harbor as the backdrop. The bride and groom are genuinely in love, their vows heartfelt and true. And as I watch them promise forever to each other, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Hope. Hope that love doesn't always end in betrayal. Hope that some people actually get their happy endings. Hope that maybe, possibly, someday, I might find something real. As I'm leaving the reception, I see a familiar figure standing by the water's edge. Sophie. She's with James, both of them dressed simply, looking out at the harbor. They don't see me, and I could easily slip away unnoticed. But instead I walk towards them. They turn as I approach, surprise and something like fear crossing their faces. Charlotte, James says, we didn't know you'd be here. It's a friend's wedding, I explain. Then, taking a breath, you both look well. Thank you, Sophie says quietly. So do you. We stand there awkwardly, 3 people bound together by tragedy and betrayal, not knowing what to say. Finally, I break the silence. Are you happy? Sophie and James exchange glances. We're trying to be, Sophie admits. It hasn't been easy, rebuilding from nothing, dealing with the shame and the scandal. But we're together and we're trying. Good, I say, and I mean it. I hope you make it. Really? James sounds skeptical. Really? I destroyed your company and your reputation as punishment for what you did, but I don't want you to be miserable forever. That wouldn't serve anyone. Sophie's eyes fill with tears. Charlie, does this mean... It means I'm trying to let go of the anger, I interrupt gently. It means I'm trying to move forward. It doesn't mean we're going back to how things were. But maybe eventually we can find something new. Something honest. I'd like that, Sophie whispers. We talk for a few more minutes. Surface-level conversation, careful and tentative. Then I excuse myself and walk back through the gardens, towards my car, towards my life. As I drive home along the harbor, watching the sun set over Sydney, I realize something profound. Revenge didn't heal me. Destroying James's life didn't erase my pain. Justice, as satisfying as it was, didn't make me whole again. What's healing me is time and choice. The choice to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. The choice to believe that people can change, can grow, can become better than their worst moments. The choice to hope that someday, somehow, my sister and I might rebuild what was broken. It won't be today, maybe not even this year, but someday. And in the meantime, I have my life, messy and complicated and entirely my own. I have my work with the women's shelter. I have my degree, which I've finally completed. I have my apartment overlooking the city I love. I have myself, scarred but surviving, broken but rebuilding. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. The contract marriage that was supposed to last 3 years ended up lasting exactly 24 months before imploding spectacularly. But in those months, I learned more about myself than I had in the previous 26 years. I learned I'm stronger than I thought, colder than I wanted to be, more capable of cruelty than I ever imagined, but also more resilient, more determined, more able to survive betrayal and emerge on the other side. I learned that love and money make terrible foundations for marriage, that secrets destroy relationships. That betrayal leaves scars that never fully heal. They just become part of who you are. And I learned that sometimes the person who emerges from the ashes of your destroyed life is someone you never expected to become, but someone you can maybe, eventually, learn to love. As I pull into my building's parking garage, my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Sunday dinner? Sophie will be visiting from Perth. Would love to have both my daughters together. I stare at the message for a long moment, then I type, I'll be there. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. But it's a start. And sometimes, a start is all you need.